If you guys don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a House Republican. She is a very staunch follower of Donald Trump, a very strong supporter. Recently, she was denounced by Trump and called a lunatic. Pretty ironic. She recently flip-flopped, and I think it's really important for people to understand that just because her messages changed don't mean that her character has.
President Trump and his administration does deserve a lot of credit for lowering inflation and holding it steady, but that doesn't bring prices down. And so gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping.
She's giving credit to Donald Trump for keeping inflation down, but the reality is prices have gone up. Yeah, that's usually what happens when you tariff an entire nation for no reason. Actually, if you tariff all of the nations, even the ones with no people, Republicans, a company at the end of the day is not going to bear the brunt of these costs, okay? Let's assume there's two nations, right? And they want to do business with each other. Let's assume one is America and the other one is Paperlandia. Now, Paperlandia has a lot of paper and America really wants paper. America will tell Paperlandia, hey, we want you to sell your paper in America. It'll generate a lot of more money for you. It'll generate new business partners and a lot of opportunities for you to grow and expand. Now, that's great and all, but as an American, I want to make sure that you as Paperlandia understand that you are coming here and you are making money off of our people. Yes, you are giving us, what we want, but at the end of the day, you're still taking money out of the economy. So we are going to tax you a tariff. Now, there's two ways that you can go about solving that, right? You can either just pay the tariff. You're charging $10 for a pack of paper. Now I'm going to charge you 10% tariff, right? Now you're generating $9, but you have an entire new revenue system, a new revenue stream. So it kind of justifies the dollar decrease. If those tariffs get too high though, let's say now I'm charging 50% tariffs, right? I'm going to have to crank my shit up to $15 a packet now, because at the end of the day, I have stockholders, I have shareholders, I have people who are relying on me to generate a certain amount of money, right? Or at least a certain region of profit. Now I have to raise the prices on everything, right? Because regardless of if I could afford that $5, that tariff money is coming out of your pocket still. Do you see what I'm saying? So immediately she's wrong. He hasn't kept prices down and he hasn't stopped inflation. All he's done is he's made things harder for Americans to buy. And Eminem she can't compartmentalize that he is the cause of both of these things. Let's continue the video. I literally paused it at what is this? 9 seconds, dude. She's already talking bullshit in 9 seconds.
And so gaslighting the people and trying to tell them that prices have come down is not helping. It's actually infuriating people, because people know what they're paying at the grocery store. They know what they're paying for their kids' clothes and school supplies. They know what they're paying for their electricity bills. And so that approach does not work.
My brain's shutting down because I don't know how somebody can be this stupid. It's kind of the same thing with like the whole rhetoric of the Charlie Kirk assassination. If you see my last video, you know what I'm talking about. The radicalization of the Republican Party immediately after his death was disgusting. We need a civil war. This is just the beginning of the end, and like all of these fear-mongering tactics that are used to basically divide Americans even further. Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the progenitors of that. She was one of the main people doing it, so it's honestly pretty funny that she's like, look at Donald Trump trying to divide us.
That's first and foremost. You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what's happening. Well, what can we do about it? There's a lot we can do about it. We need to rein in spending.
You don't gaslight them, you don't lecture them, and you don't deny what they're going through. Marjorie Taylor Greene 2025. I think it's really important to understand this. Now, we always want people who are wrong to be right, correct? The whole point of a debate is to influence a person to understand the way that you understand things, right? So it's important to educate people, and it's important to understand that, yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is a snake. This is a snake, and she will do whatever she can to stay in power. Now, everyone in the world is going to look out for themselves. Everyone in the world is going to look out for their family and their own. So you have to set guardrails that stop them from doing bad shit. Because if I can do bad shit to get ahead, I will. A person like this will absolutely do illegal things if they know they will get away with it. If I have the backing of Donald Trump, the president of the United States, telling me I can basically do whatever the fuck I want, guess what? I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, regardless if it's wrong or right. This is just how politicians are built. A politician is a person who needs power, right? And that's something really important for people to understand, that the entirety of political power is solely based on your desire to acquire it. Sorry, dude. I've been recording for 15 minutes now. I've been yapping for 15 minutes and I'm 30 seconds in.
Government spending drives inflation. The reason why inflation in 2022 was 9%, two reasons, Sean. It started with the CARES Act under President Trump, the big COVID bailout when they shut down the government. I mean, everyone will remember that. That was the beginning driver. And then under President Biden and Nancy Pelosi as Speaker, they passed multiple massive pieces of legislation.
Now, I don't want this to seem like I'm just shitting on MMO just needlessly. Obviously, I do, agree with what she's saying. I think that Donald Trump is a liar. I think he swindled people. I think he completely manipulated the Republican Party. It's kind of fucked up because I feel like the Republican Party now is kind of like an abused girl who just keeps cycling through abusive dudes. You had an abusive boyfriend who was saying all of these nasty things to you. He was always belittling you. He was always calling you terrible names. And then eventually his term is up and he finds a new girl, right? And so he stops dealing with you and he moves on. And you find another guy. And this guy doesn't say bad things to you. In fact, he tells you great things about you. He says you're pretty. He says you're awesome. He says you're cool and smart. And then he starts hitting you. Your response as a Republican is, well, at least he's not calling me bad names. I don't know how to tell an abused victim that they're being abused if they don't believe it. I don't know how to get that message across. That's why I feel so much compassion towards the Republican Party, because I see a lot of my experiences in them. I see a lot of the things that I had to go through and a lot of things that I had to witness growing up through the Republican Party. I see the lies, I see the manipulation, and I also see the people from the outside trying to help the people on the inside. I think people deserve more grace. We've built this weird society where it's okay to basically have rules for thee, but not for me. The reality is people are flawed, people are stupid, and people are easily manipulated. I do want to say one thing that does frustrate me. The line in the sand for you guys, for Republicans, their line was not a pedophile. Their line wasn't misinformation about healthcare. Your line had to be so clear to not cross that it basically made anything you say pointless. Now that we can all agree on economics and his inability to manage the economy, can we talk about the Epstein files? So I understand that Republicans have a very tough time navigating that conversation. But the reality is there were victims. There were people that were hurt, and there were perpetrators. Now, if you think that the Republicans aren't hiding the Epstein files, if you think that they're not stopping them from getting out, then I don't know how to communicate to you. I genuinely do want to know, what makes you feel like they're being transparent? That's what I need to know. What makes you feel so confident in what's being told to you? We've seen time and time again that this administration is willing and happy to lie to you. I don't know if you guys just aren't seeing that, or if the constant stream of news is making you forget the things that are being said. The whole reason he was running was like he was going to drain the swamp. He was going to release the files. He said he was going to end wars in days. We were going to have, billions of dollars pulled out of bullshit with Doge. He promised so many things, and I understand, Republicans, I understand why you thought it was good. The current administration made you feel like you weren't being heard, like you weren't being seen, like you weren't being cared for. At this point, do you still think that given everything that's been told to you, given everything that's been not delivered to you, given everything that's been released with these Epstein files and the reality of who the president is right now, has that swayed your opinion on him at all? And if not, can you be swayed on anything? Like, have you ever been convinced of anything other than what you already believe? That's just something to think about, dude. After being like lampposted by fucking Donald Trump, basically like completely disavowed by Donald Trump, she posted, inflation hit a 40-year record high of 9% under Biden. I give Trump and his administration credit for bringing it down to 2.5%, but prices are still sky high, and families are drowning in debt. Congress needs to get to work. The American people can no longer afford more excuses. This is what happens when you pressure people in power to do the right thing. You're never going to convince a person who just wants power that the way they get that power is by being a good person, unless that's how they get power. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you hear what the I'm saying? If you never set the guardrails, if you never set the rules for the requirements of becoming somebody important, then the quality of those people are going to go down. If we say Republicans are not allowed to lie, if you lie and we find that you are lying, we will have you impeached the second we find out. That's what we do with like normal people when they get jobs, right? You sign a paper that literally says everything that I have put on this document, your social security number, your name, your address, your birth, all of the information. If any of this is wrong, we have the legal right to fire you. You are signing a document that says everything that you have said is true, right? We need that for Republicans. You know, you're not allowed to lie. And I understand that it might be hard for you. It might be something that, you know, stops you from getting an extra $3 million this year. But like at the end of the day, I don't care if you make money. I care if you run my fucking government correctly. And I don't want a person who's so money hungry that they're willing to sacrifice the betterment of the American society. I would rather have a lame ass dude in office who just crunches numbers, who never comes on Twitter, who never posts anything. Like, if he's doing his job and he's doing it well, then great. We need to stop having these celebrities in office. Like, why is Kash Patel involved in anything? He's a podcaster. Anyway, this is how Republicans need to communicate. I think the little bit of glazing, I think a compliment sandwich is fine. I'm not going to complain. I think it's a good step for the Republicans. You know, inflation was really high with Biden. Trump did really good at getting it low. Anyway, prices are really high and you have to do something, right? I'm okay with that. If that's the way that we have to go right now, then that's fine. But I don't want anybody who's going to flip-flop like TMG to be in any position of power. I think we need people who stand on what they believe in. I think we need people who are willing to fight for the American people. And ultimately what we need a change in the culture. We need a culture shift that says we're not going to deal with bullshit Republicans. We're not going to deal with bullshit Democrats. We want an American in office. We want somebody who's here for America. I want someone who's going to make me feel like how Obama made me feel. I'm not talking about him just giving lip service. He genuinely went out and he made a difference. He started Obamacare. I mean, I was one of the, like, me and my family, like, we wouldn't have had any health care if it weren't for Obamacare. Like, he started the Obama phone. Like, I would have no way to communicate with my mom or like, you know, my sisters when I was going to school. The bus passes, like, all of these things are like so important. The system is only upheld by the people who follow it. If we don't make the change, Republicans and Democrats are not going to make the change. America has to make the change. Americans have to make the change. You have to make the change. I have to make the change. Like, literally, it's like, we can't pretend, like, we can't do the whole, like, damn, that's fucked up anyway. Like, we can't do that anymore, dude. Like, we have to actually sit down, have these conversations. There's this awesome channel that I follow. I think it's called, like, the Important Conversation, right? It's this guy who has a conversation with his Republican parents. I think it's with his wife. And you hear these conversations coming from Republicans and you realize, like, man, like, yeah, like, they sound like abuse victims. They sound like they don't understand, like, they don't understand why they believe what they believe. And that's a scary world to live in. If you have somebody in your life that you care about and you believe that they're being led astray by an administration or a group or an idea or anything, right? I think as a human, it's good to lead them towards the right path. And I understand it might be hard, and I understand it might be scary. You know, I'm jeopardizing a relationship potentially. I'm having a conversation that I don't know if I'm personally prepared for. What if they present me evidence that I don't know, and now, you know, the foundation that I've built is now being shaken? Like, I understand the fears because I have those same things. That's why you need to make yourself stronger. You need to make your points stronger. You need to make sure that the evidence that you're presenting isn't backed on, well, this is what this guy said, and this guy's never been wrong. What you need is you need the actual source. You need it to make sense. You know, the reason why they were convinced was because the story that they were weaved made sense. So your story has to make more sense. That's just how people operate. Now is the time for you to have those difficult conversations with your parents or your cousins or your friends or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. He's obviously not doing well because he's being exposed, which means now you have more evidence to show that what you were saying was right from the beginning. And I want to stop talking to the Democrat or to the Republicans now, and I want to talk directly to Democrats. Do not be mean. I know it's tempting. I know it's justified. Like, you can justify it pretty easily. Don't do that. The whole point of this is to stop the bullshit. Right now, Republicans are lost. And they're scared, you know? Like, what I have built for the past, he's been a president. He's been the president for like 5 years now. So that's a lot for someone to go through. And that's a lot for someone to compartmentalize and sift through. If you go in and you say, look at you, you're a fucking idiot. Look at how much shit you fucked up. No one's going to want to, first of all, no one's going to want to talk to you. And second of all, no one's going to want to do the work to get better. If you saw me at the gym working out, you wouldn't go up to me and say, man, you're so fat. That's probably why it's so hard for you to work out, because you're fat and you're stupid for getting that fat. That's why it's so hard. Most people would probably say, good job, dude. I'm glad that you're taking accountability for your life, and I'm glad that you're doing the things necessary to become a healthy person, right? These are the conversations that I've had when I was on my weight loss journey. I lost 100 pounds. Like, these are the experiences that I had. And these are the experiences that push me to keep me going on the path, you know, having the support of people that I thought were my enemies. You know, I thought these were people who were going to actively hate me because I am the epitome of what they aren't. But they were like, oh my God, you're trying to be like one of us. You're trying to be educated in this field. That's awesome, you know, because I have my pre-workouts, I have my BCAAs, I know my diet, I know my macros, I know my micros, like I know the whole shebang. And it was cool. At certain points, it became cool to know things about this. You know, it became cool to like lose weight, it became cool to be able to do like a full push-up. It's cool to be like, and none of these feelings would be open to me if the gym that I went to was closed off from the idea of having me participate. You understand? So basically, TLDR, I understand that it might be tempting to be mean to them because stupid people. But if you don't navigate this correctly, nothing gets solved. So let's fix America, guys. Let's do it. Get him out. Get him out. Get the whole administration out. Because none of them are qualified to be in that fucking house.